And I got me a question after seeing that. Dominique and Steven. Whoa.
I knew that was coming.
What's going on there?
Amy made him new. I had to be up a little this season. That's what's happening.
Yeah, alright, I'll take that.
Yeah, the crew's getting closer.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you can't give us any big spoilers about season 2, but Shohreh, I interviewed you at Comic-Con. How about Shohreh and Star Trek Beyond as well? And you told me, and I quote, I'm a serious journalist, that tribalism versus universalism would be a big theme in season 2. Can any of you guys expand on that, or tell us what we can expect in terms of the broad strokes as we launch season 2?
Yeah, you know, I think as this season kind of progresses, the world gets larger and more intimate at the same time. So we're kind of using that kind of balancing act, but you know, the conflict resides mostly between Earth, Mars, and the Belt, right? So the proto-molecule is kind of a game changer that has the potential to kind of change humanity as we know it across the board, no matter what side you're on. So you find that the philosophical battle between folks who want this power for themselves to use against someone else, and then the other side of it is realizing that there are no teams if everyone's dead. So that's the kind of universalism versus tribalism kind of aspect of this season.
Got it. Oh, yeah.
Well, I actually asked the crowd before we started, and there are a few people in here who did not see season 1, and I know this will be a really easy question, given how straightforward and simple the plot of the show is. So if you could just quickly summarize the first season. I'm kidding, of course. Maybe you could introduce, for those who haven't seen The Expanse, who I scolded really hard before. I scolded? I shook my fist.
Why don't we introduce ourselves and say who we are?
Exactly, that would be helpful for some of the new people.
Bobbie?
Yeah, you're brand new.
Oh yeah, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, just your character and who you are.
Maybe set up who we're going to be introduced to.
Oh, hi, yes, I'm Frankie Adams. I play Bobbie Draper, the most badass. Badass thing in the universe, and just don't fuck with it.
Has it been fun to join the cast?
No, I hate them all. The first day I felt like I'd done the first season. They were all so warm and loving and gave me hugs, and this guy. He's the hugger of the crew. So breaks a couple of ribs in the process. Love it for it.
And Wes, can you remind us where we left off with Amos?
Yes, at the end of season 1, Amos's relationship with Naomi has been challenged, and I think what's interesting about what happens to Amos in season 2 is you really get to understand who Amos is without the presence of Naomi and how important her relationship with him is, and you get to see the dark hurricane inside of Amos without the influence of his guide star, his moral compass.
There's a dark hurricane of brewing?
Hurricane,
oh yeah.
So my name's Dominique. I play Naomi Nagata, and I'm like the smartest person on the ship. I'm the head engineer of various ships. If you haven't seen season 1, I'm not explaining it because you should have. And so basically, I'm pretty busy with this guy in season 2, which is why I'm not being his moral compass anymore. You've probably seen in the trailer. And still like doing my own thing, like not totally into him, like still running the ship and being awesome. But yes, in season 2, all of the Rosie Crew's arcs, sure. I was like, hang on, is that in my head? So all of the Rosie Crew's arcs are excellent, and we all have our own really personal, difficult journeys for this season. And I think you get to see a bit more of who we are, a lot more of who we are independently of each other. And so we're pushed to the extreme in this season, and everything, you get to see stuff that will still make you wonder whose side everyone is on, and it's been awesome to play.
Hey, before we get to Stephen and Strait, it sounds like they're having fun over there. Can we just do a really big woo to show them how much fun we're having?
People.
Stephen, Jim had a hell of an arc.
Yeah, Jim's such a fun character to play. You know, this season, in season 1, you see James, who is a coffee enthusiast and dubious decision maker. You know, he's this like slacker. He doesn't really want any responsibility. He's got problems with authority and stuff. And he makes this one decision to answer this distress call. He does the right thing, and it just starts this cascade of events that ends up enwrapping him in this huge conspiracy, and he becomes this like inadvertent revolutionary leader. And in season 2, you kind of really see him, I always thought of it as kind of a Captain Ahab arc, actually, where, the proto-molecule is his whale. And he slowly kind of descends into this kind of myopic, pseudo-madness over trying to get this thing wrapped up because he feels somewhat responsible for what's gone on. Even if we know as the audience it wasn't really his fault, he certainly feels that way.
Super fun to be around.
He's a barrel of laughs. But yeah, I mean, it's really fun to play a guy who has such a huge journey. When you meet him in the beginning, he's so naive and narcissistic, and just like a kid in many ways. And by the end of the second season, you really see him, standing with his feet firmly on the floor as a leader.
Yeah.
On Interspace, we have so much fun debating the shows that we all watch and love, and one of the debates that we had is the true intentions or motives of your character, Chrisjen. So, Shohreh, what can you set up about Chrisjen for the first season, and maybe where we're going with her in the second one?
By all means. As we all know, these TV series are based on novels by James S.A. Corey. My character, Chrisjen Avasarala, is in the second book, but they started with the first book. So in the first season, they had to borrow bits and pieces from other novels in order to be able to bring me to the first season. In the first season, we got to know her. Chrisjen Avasarala, a female politician, a fearless female politician, who wants to keep Earth away from all the people, all these newly built cultures in the space, all the sons of Earth who've already migrated to other places like Luna and Ganymede and Jupiter, let's say. She knows that the Earth is the fountainhead of them all, that they would keep coming back to the Earth to take Earth resources. Therefore, she wants to make sure that nobody can just come to Earth and take away stuff that belongs to the sons of Earth, those who live on Earth. I love my character. She keeps surprising me. Last year, she reminded me a lot of Margaret Thatcher and Mrs. Clinton. But this year, she reminds me a lot of Elizabeth Warren. She's just amazing. Twists and turns that the incredible writers of this show, apart from James S.A. Corey, we have 6 or 7 other writers who are writing these episodes, and they're doing such an amazing job. And my favorite line of them all in this one is that in the second season, as Dominique was saying, you get to know us, each and every one of us in our territory, who we are, why we're here, what kind of agendas do we have. But what I love about her in this season is one of her colleagues asks her, Chrisjen, why don't you run for an office? And she says, sir, because I like to get shit done.
First meter, she's literally torturing someone with gravity, so
She is.
she's a complex character.
She's a very complex character, and I'm so happy that she does not believe in transparency in politics. I don't believe it. And by the way, I give myself the liberty to say this because I've studied politics. My BA is in international relations, political science. So believe me, I have studied it. I've read many books on it, and every time I hear transparency in politics, I laugh. because they're like 360 degrees away from each other. How could a politician, be truthful? Chrisjen Avasarala let you know. You could be truthful and you don't have to play all these games about transparency in politics.
Chrisjen doesn't play those games.
No nonsense lady.
Question from the floor?
Yeah.
Just toss up your hands.
Over here.
Hey, buddy.
So we're back to questions, if that's okay.
No, one question. No, just
So for the entire cast, have any of you read the books? And secondly, for Shohreh, I love that red coat you wore in season 1. Because it's fucking gorgeous.
I love it too. I love my costumes. Her name is Joanne Henson. She's doing such a great job. Saris and Indian, sort of. All the costumes they look like they've come from somewhere from Hindochin to the Pacific. Has all the elements from all these cultures. The red one, when Joanne told me what she had in mind, I couldn't understand what she was talking about. When I put it on, it gave me so much energy and power and strength, and I looked at it and I said, oh my God, Catherine Deneuve would give an arm and a leg for this coat.
Did you steal it? Did you keep it?
No, I can't. It's like the elephant in the room. Where am I going to take it?
You can't hide that in your purse.
John is doing a great job. Yes, the jacket is. This year we have black jacket. This time I said Keanu because I love Keanu's long black coat in Matrix. Keanu, you should come and see my long coat.
Sorry.
I have read the first book. I stopped reading because I wanted to be surprised when I read the script. I'd got enough information from the books that I needed to build the character and build the world. And so yeah, I've stopped now. I find like the first one I stopped reading and read it afterwards, so I'll probably do that with the second one, but it's so much fun opening the scripts and being like, oh my God, I didn't know Naomi was going to do this. So that's why I stopped.
Me too, I did the same thing. I started reading it, and then I got to my chapter 5, Avasarala. I started reading it. Oh, her knowledge exceeds her title. She knows everybody's names, and then I thought, do I want to know what's going to happen the day after? As myself, as Shohreh, I don't want to know when I'm going to die because I have a feeling that I may be a bit careful and don't take bold choices as I am doing now. So I stopped. I said, I don't want to know what happens to her. When she's dying, they're going to let me know.
What about you, Stephen?
I actually read the first 2 before I got involved in the project. I was a big fan of the books beforehand. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're fantastic.
They're all right. Joking time, Daniel. What
about you, Wes? Did you check that?
It was a similar experience. I was at 3 Comic-Cons in San Diego, and I heard about the books. A friend of mine told me about the books, and I started reading the first one, and about halfway in is when I got the script. And I said, well, I'm reading this right now. and it was serendipitous in how it worked out like that. But I try to read a book a season before the season.
Okay.
I started reading. I wanted to read the whole series before we started, but then I started getting the facts of the book and the show, and I was like, wait, didn't this? And they go, that's the book. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So now I do a book a season just to get my mind in it and get wrapped up in it before I start.
Cool. And Frankie, how about you?
Well, I cheated. I didn't read the first one. When I got the role, they were like, oh, have you read it? She's in the second book. And so I think I read it in about 5 days in a panic because I didn't see much Toronto in 6.
And could you tell us anything about Bobbie? You gave us a little bit of a hint, she's kick-ass, but what can you tell us about her as a character and how we meet her in season 2?
You'll meet her like in the first 3 seconds. She's
Okay.
Yeah, first second, I think, of season 2 is when you see Bobbie in her Kahala armor, which is, I think, the clip that we just saw.
Yeah.
And Bobbie's really interesting. This season's cool because you get to see her very soldier-like, stoic, a Marine, time, which is in the beginning, and then some things happen halfway through, and you get to see another layer of her, and you get to see that she's, you know, she does have feelings, and she's not always going to be this kick-ass chick. You know, she's still human and gets heartbroken at times, and so you get to see another layer of her, which was more exciting for me to play because I already knew that she was a strong female, but I didn't know that there were going to be other elements to her that get revealed in season 2, and then, you know, I get to hang out with that queen over there.
I love her scene. That's another one of my favorite. The line, she's so good.
She was talking about Steven.
I love it. She's so good that I tried to recruit her, and when I offer her to stay with us on Earth, she says that she tells me that I'm her enemy, and I tell her we cannot afford to be enemies anymore. That's another favorite line of mine. This one. We cannot afford to be enemies anymore.
Give her a
This one I can share with you. But I can just send you a text message and tell you what's happening with it.
That would be great.
Mark Love at the back. Well, sorry. So I get the feeling that Expanse, if you guys keep going with the speed you guys have now, you're definitely going to like cement your place in history as part of the all-time greats of science fiction. I was wondering though.
Yeah, brother.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you guys like were fans of other science fiction series, and maybe if you were there any characters that maybe influenced your portrayal of your own character?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think even the visuals of the show, you'd see early Ridley Scott is like heavy influence on our show. I mean, just from the way it looks and the kind of grit and grime and the realness and how hard it is being out in space. You know, I think so often in science fiction you see, or you ask the audience to kind of suspend belief for a minute, like technology's solved the gravity problem, or it's solved the, well, it's really hard being in space problem, or, you know, all that stuff. We don't do that. You know, it's difficult getting from place to place. It's hard in your body, it's hard in your mind. You know, in the first episode of season 1, I mean, you see Jonathan Banks go crazy. Just simply because he's been in this kind of submarine environment for so many years that he can't, he just loses his mind. So, you know, in that way, I think early Ridley Scott is a heavy influence. You know, his early Aliens films, Blade Runner. And then personally, you know,
Really? You're this guy. Hi! He's in the Expanse panel. I don't know if he's supposed to be here.
His wife. She's like, where is he?
Why is there so much noise in the back?
Children of Men was a huge influence, and obviously, you know, we have, you know, Hawk and Mark wrote the screenplay for that, who are our showrunners. So, so you see once again the kind of realism put towards this, you know, future world, and it's what drew, it's frankly what drew me to the project in many ways. And the science fiction that I like it because it feels real and it allows me to relate to it. I just personally like that, but yeah, heavy influences all over the place for sure.
Yeah, and to kind of compliment what Steve said, I've been a huge fan of the genre, and when I started reading the books, one thing that really struck me was the noir crime element of Miller's side, and it really connected me to Blade Runner, and the kind of atmosphere in Blade Runner. Even the first Alien movie, which would be more towards horror, but that blue-collar, working-class, regular Joes out in space, just trying to make a living, just trying to survive, and the realistic consequences of space travel. Space travel is hard. I was really drawn to that, and I felt like the books were really connected to that as well. So yeah, this show has everything that I would love to watch in it.
I've got to say, I feel like I'm in like a whole new world. Like, I have grown up watching sci-fi and been influenced by it, but not really realized like what a community it was. And I've got to say, like for me, now I'm kind of more of a part of it. I feel more immersed in it now I'm part of this show. And I think that women are so well written in sci-fi, like better than probably any genre in film. And especially on this show, the fact that there were so many people of colour and women in lead roles was just like incredible to me. And then the more I actually look at sci-fi and the genre and the fan base and everyone that's a part of it, I realise what an incredible community it is. And I feel quite new to it, and I'm happy to be a part of it now.
As you just brought up Miller, Wes already did, and Thomas Jane, unfortunately not with us today, but maybe you could elaborate on where we're going with his character, because he was very central to the first season. Now he's finally with you guys. So what's up for Miller? Can anyone give us a bit of a tease?
Sure. I mean, you know, when at the end of the first season, Miller's story converges with the Rossi crew finally, and I think Mark Fergus said it best at Comic-Con that he's become the uncle who won't get off your couch. You know, it's funny because he's this jaded, you know, gumshoe, and you know, it's interesting because when you first meet him, he's got a huge arc as well. You know, he's so hard-boiled and just ground down by you know, his experiences on series his whole life, that when, you know, he finds Julie, and Julie is as much a person as an ideal in his mind. And through Julie, or the representation of Julie, and as you see him kind of slowly going mad and seeing her, physically seeing her, he finds something to live for again. And he finds a cause again, and he finds his humanity again. So when you meet him in season 2, he has found that, you know, and his trajectory with Julie and what happens on Eros is key, and it's central to the whole second season. And then, of course, you know, he becomes kind of part of our little group, and there's a whole lot of friction with that. Anytime someone new on the Rossi group comes in, it's always full of friction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tom has an enormous arc this year, and he did just beautiful work.
Some of my favourite scenes this season are us with Thomas. They are hilarious. You're gonna love them. Like, it's just the most funny coming together of people. It's just wonderful, and he's brilliant. He's so good.
Well, and speaking of the crew in season 1, I mean, there's a lot of distrust, and there's some issues with you guys, and even though we're seeing some couplings and people joining the team, God, I want to know about that relationship so bad. Keep bringing it up. Are you guys, is there a sense that you guys are closer in season 2?
I think we're closer in ways, but there are also things that pull us apart, and that's what we go deeper into this season. So, I don't want to say too much, but that's probably it in a nutshell. Like, we are definitely closer, we're like a family, but there's more to it than that, and there's differences of where we come from and things that we just don't understand with each other, and that essentially comes between us. So, yeah, we're together, but as you know, in Expanse fashion, there's a lot that pulls us. Yeah, it is very.
Yeah, you know, I think in the first season, especially with the Rossi crew, we were just trying to survive hour to hour. You know, this group is just, you know, they're coupled together. They didn't really know each other that well when they first get on the night before the Canterbury explodes. So, you know, in the season 1, they're very.
Haven't seen season 1, sorry.
Sorry about that, guys.
You should have watched it.
But they're very much a kind of a victim of circumstance. You know, and in season 2, you really see them starting to make decisions as a team, and they've taken control of the decision making as opposed to it happening to them. And you know, it's that thing. It's like as they get closer, they start to learn more about each other. And
yeah, we do.
Yeah. Enough said.
Go back to the floor. It's a hand there, red shirt.
Oh, red shirt. Get your close door.
Hey, hi. Oh, hi. Okay, so if you could be any other character on the show, who would you be?
Oh.
Avasarala. Yes.
Yes, I love that.
Just for the saris alone. Every time when you were speaking about the costumes, I was like, because I just spent the whole season in one boiler suit. I walk past her trailer and see her in like this beautiful like purple sari, and I'm like, hi. Hi. Everything. You always look incredible. It's amazing.
What was the question?
What character would you play if you could play any other one?
If that's the case, I would love to play Holden. I love his hairstyle.
My hairstyle? Wow. I think it would be Miller.
Yeah.
Miller,
Mine would be Miller for sure.
Nice. And I would be Diogo.
I love Diogo. I think he's so funny. He makes the show. He's just like this great comic relief, and I like doing comedy, so I'd be Diogo.
Hi, hey, great to meet y'all. Before I ask my question, I'm going to say first to Shohreh, Kia Salai from Mass Effect.
Oh, yes, I like studying. I love that game. Ladies and gents, I do video games. Mass Effect 1 is one of them. Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2. I love those. And Mass Effect 3. He knows better than I do.
Throughout the whole of season 1, what was your favorite scene?
Favorite scene?
Season 1.
I think my favorite scene is when me and Holden were working on the Rossi, and I told him that I was trying to explain to him the way I think, and I told him that I could rip his helmet off and push him into space. And just watch him float away, suffocating and freezing to death, and be completely okay with it.
This is the kind of love we have.
By the way, our relationship has a great change going into second season.
What's your favorite?
I think my favourite are the early scenes in season 1 between the soon-to-become Rosie crew, because I just loved playing out all the tension of us not knowing each other and not trusting each other, and me and this guy at heads, with our difference in leadership of morals. And I think a lot of those early ones were really, where we're just constantly in crisis, like, were really fun to play, yeah.
My favorite scene is when she's playing with her grandson, giggling and laughing and having fun, and all of a sudden she has to go, something urgent has happened, she has to go, she has to leave, and the next scene we see her, she's interrogating this poor guy from birth. And I loved it. Loved it because of the fact that the arc it made for this character showed you that she can go from this to that. She's capable of doing it. And the arc was fantastic as an actor.
I think just purely geeking out as an actor, any of the scenes between Thomas Jane and Jared Harris were just such powerhouse scenes. Their work is just amazing, and to watch these kind of two giants just go at each other was awesome.
What's the set of the Expanse like? Obviously a lot of serious stuff happens. Is the set serious? Is there levity on the set? What's it like?
That's all it is.
We have our fair share of jokes. No, it's a lot of fun. We're serious at times, but also our crew are incredible. And we have pretty much all the same people back from last year. And so the family vibe extends from the screen outwards through everyone. And it's a really lovely set, and it's why everyone came back. So we're quite blessed in that way, and we love shooting in Toronto. Like, we're so blessed to have that crew and shoot here and be with them and have them back. So yeah. Same. that enough? Sorry, Meg.
Tell us how you really feel.
Thanks for coming.
Oh my God, that was fantastic.
Perfect timing as well. Good comic timing, that kid.
I want to go.
Time for a few more questions.
Yeah,
Of course.
floor.
Oh gosh, so many hands.
Oh God, oh God.
Yeah, go for it.
So do you have any funny stories from the set?
Oh my God.
Funny stories?
Yeah.
I don't know which one to pick.
That's a good, we have a ton of those.
Oh, a good funny story. I mean, it's kind of funny, but there's a scene in season 2 that involves lasagna, and we ad-libbed the end of it, and I think it's made it into the cut. So watch out for that. It's one of my favourite scenes. It involves Miller and the Rosa crew, and it's great.
Way at the back.
2 questions. Why, for anyone from the panel, why do you think that the future is, in general, portrayed as dark, harsh, difficult? And the other that I continually hear from people that that are in the art business, that they continue to read. I read my script, I read my books, I read the books, and we have all this criticism about youth being so short-minded and being unable to write long phrases. What do you think what is your take on the future of literature in today?
Yeah, no, that's cool. To speak about, the criticism of, millennials, I guess is what you're talking about. It's the kids today, and I'm not an expert in any real sense, but from what I understand, it's the most informed generation in human history, and they do read a lot. They just read in different ways. They read online. They may not be reading as many physical books, although you see with Harry Potter or Hunger Games, or these books sell by the millions, so people must be reading them. But I think that literature still has an amazing mass effect on young people, and The Expanse is really is part of that. I mean, the books are incredibly popular. They sell millions and millions of copies, and they're sophisticated and dense, and forces you to think critically, and doesn't spoon-feed information to you. And the majority of the people reading our books are young, so I'm not as pessimistic as maybe some other people on that. But to the future being dark, I think the thing to keep in mind with our show as well is that it's not that far in the future. It's only a couple hundred years. And I think what we tried to show was that the same issues that we deal with today, in terms of tribalism or factionalism, whatever you want to call it, the things that divide us are still dividing us in a couple hundred years, and that kind of just harkens back to what the human condition is. They're the same problems we've always dealt with.
And it's not so much that it's dark and gloomy, it's real. And I think that's what the show portrays. It is a future that's realistic and is in line with what's happening today. So it's not like the gloomiest future. I just think it's a real human future. It's like, if we colonize space, this is what it looked like. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I just think we've tried and have made it a realistic portrayal.
And within that struggle, and within each struggle, there's beauty, and there's humanity, and there's love that triumphs over that. But it's interesting with what you were talking about millennials earlier. I was a history major in school, and every book that I read, every article that I've read from the past, that seems to be the sentiment that the elders have to the youth. That every generation always feels that the youth have no appreciation for literature. They're going, when Elvis Presley came around, rock and roll is going to rot your soul. But I think nowadays that there is a level of sophistication and understanding technology that the youth have that even is far beyond my capacity of understanding. So, you know, again, what Stephen said is that it's different and more complex. But I do think there's always going to be an appreciation of literature and art, and that'll never die.
Me too, let us do not forget that although cinema depicts life, they need to add drama to it. Otherwise, you and I won't go see it. So when you see the future as dark and gloomy, and when you see millions of people go watch it, obviously the trend becomes more and more popular, and filmmakers try to follow the same steps, formula. But in real life, I totally agree with you about the literature and the future of our children. I truly believe that we need a revolution. We need to revolutionize the system of education, no matter where we are. We have come a long way. Our lifestyle have changed tremendously. Our system of thinking has changed tremendously. But we're still acting like in 1900. We send our kids from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. to schools to learn. Though in other places, such as in Scandinavia, they're now taking them to school only for 2 hours and let them observe and absorb while at home through internet and learn about different things. And they've shown great progress. So I totally agree with you. We need to do it, and we need to do it. People need to do it. We have to start it, and when it starts, obviously, authorities, governments will listen to us. But parents should start it. Nobody's going to take care of these children except for their parents.
We are running out of time, but just very quickly, if you all wanted to give us maybe a little look ahead as to what you're most excited about with this second season, maybe for your character or a quick moment. Do we have time for that? Yeah.
Most excited?
I'm sitting all the way over here. I've been able to do a lot of really awesome stunts and fight scenes and just really kick-ass scenes this year. So I think all of those things will make me look much cooler than I really am.
I think what I'm really excited, and my favorite thing about these stories is the chance you guys are going to get to see the true nature of the proto-molecule and how powerful it really is and what it really looks like.
Yes. Well, as a proto-molecule, it's so scary. Honestly, most exciting is when you survive. Can't give you the details. We'll watch it together.
We do. I think I'm most excited for basically what I said earlier, for everyone to get to know these people a bit better. And specifically Naomi's arc, you get to see her a little bit more vulnerable and her strength in her vulnerability, and she goes through some shit this season. So I'm quite excited for everyone to see her in, I think, a different light than what we've seen her before, and dare I say, a more interesting one.
I'm excited for the viewers to kind of experience this world get larger, if you can believe it, and also far more intimate. You get to know a lot more about these people while also seeing a lot more of the universe that we encompass. And it's equally full of action as well as character work. So it's grounded as it kind of takes off. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun this year.
Can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. Yeah.
So we're going to try something. We're going to say goodbye to our cast of The Expanse and Teddy Wilson. They got to sneak out before everyone else if they can.
Yeah.
So give them a big round of applause. Stick around. The first 75 people in the room, please don't flood the aisles just yet.